Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this pineapple card featuring the Aloha pineapple from Colorado Craft Company. This stamp set is part of their Big and Bold line. I'm going to use my Versamark ink and my Ranger white embossing powder. I'm going to prep my watercolor paper with my anti-static powder tool. I then use the clear embossing ink on the stamp, and I stamp this 3 times, I believe, in order to make sure that my image is solid. It's such a large stamp, I didn't want to miss any parts of this. Especially since I am going to use Nuvo shimmer powders and water, so I wanted my powders to mostly stay inside the lines. I heat embossed the pineapple, and then I trimmed down my paper so I didn't have as much paper waste. Now I'm going to pull out my shimmer powders. For the leaves, I am going to use Nuvo shimmer powder in colors Falling Leaves and Green Parade. For the bottom of the pineapple, I am going to be using Solar Flare and Golden Sparkler. All I'm doing is lightly tapping the shimmer powders over the area that I want them to fall. I'm also protecting the pineapple bottom with a scrap sheet of paper. I was hoping to not get so much green into my yellow. I spritz each section with water, and then I go back to using the dry powders a little bit if there's more areas that I would like covered. I spritz it again with water. I also mop up any of the excess water with a dry paper towel. With shimmer powders, you really don't need to add a bunch, and if you tap it too hard or squeeze the bottle, you will end up with way more than you need on your panel. So my advice is lightly tap it and never squeeze the bottle. I've done that and it was a mess. Once I'm happy with the way my pineapple looks, I'm setting it to the side and allowing it some dry time. I thought about heat setting it, but I didn't want to remelt the embossing powder. I'm going to ink blend with Distress Oxides in Salty Ocean and Chipped Sapphire on a blue panel that measures 4.5 by 7.5 inches. I am blending from the top down using Salty Ocean. Once I am satisfied with the way that's blended, I am going to turn the panel around so that the bottom is now at the top, and I am going to do the same thing with the darker color. I was trying to give my panel a light to dark look without having to ink blend the entire panel. I believe this cardstock is Huckleberry Fusion from Fun Stamper's Journey. I will have all of the products used linked in the description box, so if I happen to be wrong about the paper color, I will link the correct one. Off screen, I did speed up the drying process using my heat tool. Now I'm going to take the same stamp set and I'm just going to use the little slices of pineapple. And I'm also going to use Hero Arts Unicorn Pigment ink. I am going to stamp the little pineapple slices all over my paper. I start from the upper corner and kind of fill out the paper moving down and out. Before I attempted this, I actually did a little test run on a scrap piece of paper. And what I learned from that was I needed my pineapple slices closer than I originally had them. So if you're not sure how your panel is going to look with what you're trying to do, I always recommend testing on scraps. I do this a lot off camera when I am trying to figure out what I want to do for my card. I even do this for the sentiment sometimes. I will heat emboss or stamp a sentiment on a scrap piece of paper in a matching color and lay it on my card to get an idea of placement or different colors, whatever I'm not sure about. I usually try to work it out on scrap so I don't mess up a whole card. And now you get to watch me struggle. My little white acrylic paint bottle is about empty, and I added way too much paint at the end. But anyway, I'm watering it down so that I can do white splatters all over my panel. So I'm cleaning up my white splatter, and I really at this point had no intention of doing any more splatters until I laid my panel back out, laid the pineapple on it, and then thought gold would be really pretty on it. So I chose one of the golds from my gold paint palette, or metallic paint palette. I spritz it with water, and then I do the same thing, just splatters all over the panel. And then I heat set it to make sure that everything is dried properly for my next step. I alternate the paper, heating from the front and then heating from the back, because as you heat the paper, it does tend to warp. So by heating it from both the front and the back, you can kind of get it to a more even state again. Now I'm prepping my panel so that I can heat emboss the sentiment on it, which is why I heat set it the first time to make sure everything was dry. I'm going to use Versamark ink, and I am going to use Hero Art's Gold Glitter Embossing Powder. See guys, I switch it up every once in a while. I really love this gold glitter embossing powder. I think Hero Arts has some really great embossing powders. I have several of theirs, and I don't always find a need for the gold, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity. I should mention that my full sentiment is from the same set as the pineapple. I know I tend to use varying stamp sets for sentiments or varying die collections for my sentiments, but today I stuck with the same stamp set for everything. It felt good. I don't often do it. It's not like you can't. A lot of stamp sets have things that match just perfectly, but I like to make things different than what other people might do, and I also love to get multiple uses out of the same stamp set. So by mixing and matching, you definitely get your money's worth. Here I decided that I would pull out another gold product that I never use, and that is the Caron Deco Brush marker in the color Metallic Gold. I think I got it in a My Monthly Hero kit and just haven't found a use for it yet, until now. So I'm going to make a border around my panel. And I know this ruler is so overkill, you guys. It is actually for quilt squares, because I also quilt sometimes, usually rag quilts. But anyway, I couldn't find a longer ruler for this, so I decided this one would work just fine. I tend to use this ruler a lot. Something I should have done, and if you guys do this, you might want to consider it, is to wipe off the edge of the ruler. What was happening was the ink was collecting on my ruler, and I didn't really think about it. And when I set my ruler back on my panel, it kind of smudged the ink a little bit. And I don't really feel like it took away from the look, so I didn't bother trying to fix it. But in the future, I would definitely think about that when I was doing this same technique. I do go in with the marker and freehand some of the lines that were missing or not quite long enough, like at the corners. This maybe wouldn't be something I would try if it wasn't already a little smudgy, like if it was perfectly crisp lines, but since it wasn't, I didn't feel like it would matter. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Big Mama foam tape to pop up my pineapple. This is low profile foam tape, so it gives it a little bit of dimension without adding too much bulk. And I am going to cover the back of this pineapple in this foam tape, even the little tiny leaves. So I do a lot of this off screen, so you guys don't have to sit here and watch 20 minutes of me putting foam tape on and then taking the backs off. And then I place my pineapple on my panel. Just press it down firmly, It's not going anywhere now. And I decided I need to mat it on a slightly larger piece of white cardstock. This white panel is cut 3 3/4 by 7 3/4 inches. I'm going to attach it using liquid glue. I felt like my card still needed a little something extra, so I pulled out some sequins from a past My Monthly Hero kit and some little embellishments from Lucy's Little Things. They're called raindrops. And I placed the smallest of the little gold sequins and the smaller 2 sizes of the little raindrops all over my panel. Once I had figured out the placement for my embellishments, I glued them in place. Now this I struggled with so hard, you guys. I kept getting glue everywhere. Oh, sorry. That's my toddler. I was trying to do my voiceover while he took a nap and he woke up before I wanted him to. So yeah, sorry for that noise. Because my card is not a standard size card, I did have to make my own card base. So I took a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock and I cut it down to 7 3/4 inch by 9.5 inches, and I scored it down the middle at 4 3/4 inch. I then attach my card panel to my card base using liquid glue. After that, my card is done. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And my toddler making all kinds of noise behind me. I will be back with another video soon, hopefully a quieter one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.